Hey, what's up, everybody? It's just Charles Sabanson, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And folks, we got some beef here today. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and sub to the channel. Now, as you guys know, Kevin Durant made a lot of news last night after he called out Stephen A. Smith by essentially going on The Athletic during a sit down that he had and essentially called him a clown. I want to quickly read from a USA article. It says Kevin Durant fires back at Stephen A. Smith over ESPN's personalities. Criticism says Kevin Durant is tired of the criticism about his leadership, tired enough that the Phoenix star clapped back at ESPN's personality, Stephen A. Smith, in an interview with The Athletic that published Sunday. It said, "Yeah, Stephen A. I don't understand how people even listen to Stephen A." Durant told The Athletic Saturday night. "I've been in the league for 18 years. I've never seen Stephen A. at a practice or a film session or a shoot around. I've never seen him anywhere but on TV talking crap about players. He's a clown to me. He will always be a clown. You can write that too." So that's what Kevin Durant said. We even did a live about it. And as we were doing that live yesterday, I was bringing up the moments in the past where Stephen A. Smith has had issues with various people. And then I thought about the time Stephen A. Smith went on television and essentially threatened Kevin Garnett on ESPN First Take back when Skip Bayless was at the network. Now, why did he threaten Kevin Durant? The reason Stephen A. Smith threatened Kevin Durant was because Kevin Durant was questioning his reporting about some sources that he heard that was saying some things about Kevin Durant. And Kevin Durant essentially came out there and said, Stephen A. Smith is lying. I know the people in my inner circle. This guy is lying. And then Stephen A. Smith, they went on ESPN. He responded to what KD had to say. And towards the tail end of what he said, he then said, you don't want to make an enemy, basically threatening Kevin Durant on live TV that if you make an enemy out of me, you're going to pay for it. But before we even get into those explosive comments by Stephen A. Smith some years ago, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Game Time. With only 4 months left until the end of the year, I look forward to creating special moments with family and friends by attending various theaters, shows, plays, and sporting events. And when it comes time for me to look for tickets, I absolutely love to use Game Time. Game Time is one of the most reliable marketplaces for last-minute tickets to the most popular events in sports, music, and theater in more than 60 cities across the United States and Canada. Game Time saves me money, time, and peace of mind, so I don't have to sort through thousands of tickets looking for the best prices or worry about whether or not if they're authentic or whether I'm going to receive them on time. Game Time Picks, one of my favorite Game Time tools, analyzes thousands of tickets for all of your favorite events near your location and finds you the best possible deal so you don't have to. For example, I'm looking forward to this upcoming concert at Madison Square Garden of one of my favorite composers, Hans Zimmer. Here, I can select the all-in price to see the total ticket price up front, no hidden fees. And now I can sort through the best possible deals I can find. I can choose the cheapest deals, the great deal, or the amazing deal. Once you select the ticket you want, you can use their panoramic seat view to ensure you know exactly what you're getting before you buy. And if you're like me and always make plans at the last minute, you can grab tickets up to 90 minutes after the event has started. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and use redeem code CLNS for $20 off. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So what we want to do now is want to play what Stephen A. Smith had to say about that initial spat he had with KD, and then want to come back and continue all the show. Take a listen to Stephen A. Smith here.
All-timers. They don't want Kevin Durant just because his name. They want him because this brother's going to do big things, and they're going to see to it that he's going to do big things. Are you trying to tell me these large markets are not a consideration? I said nothing offensive about him. I will not say anything offensive about him. I still stand here today telling you he's a good dude, but he's wrong. And the guys that put him up to it in their own way. I'm not talking about literally his comments, but in their own way, with their chirping behind my back all the time. They're wrong too. And the sensitivity that these guys are showing they are making unnecessary enemies. I am not one of them. I won't be. I got too much love and respect for who these guys are and what they mean to my community. But I will say this lastly. You don't want to make an enemy out of me. And I'm looking right into the camera, and I'm going to say it again. You do not want to make an enemy out of me. I'm not having it. I've done nothing wrong, and I'm not going to tolerate it.
Let me stop you there.
I don't talk to Stephen A. Smith at all. Nobody in my family, my friends, they don't talk to Stephen A. Smith, so he's lying. If you ask me a question, I'll talk about them. But like I said before, I have people who I talk to about everything, and I know for a fact they didn't talk to him, so he's making up stories. Stephen A., waiting to hear what you had to say about this all weekend. I know a lot of people are. What's your response to this?
Well, my first response, Molly, Skip, is that I'm incredibly happy that this happened on a Friday after First Take, because I will openly confess to you that had I had to come on the air that next day after reading somebody questioning my credibility and my character, I can promise you it would have been very bad. Kevin Durant is the one that's lying. I have interviewed Kevin Durant. His year, I interviewed him at his home in Seattle. I interviewed him years ago when we were in Orlando for SportsCenter. I've talked to him on several occasions, literally within the last year, where we've run across one another at an arena. Or one time we saw each other at 40-40, because obviously he's being repped by Rock Nation right now, whatever the case may be. No reporting that went on in that regard.
Right.
Just pleasantries and things of this nature. That statement that he came out with, that was a surprise to me, because I had no idea that he had any kind of problem with me whatsoever. Okay? I wasn't aware of it, so it was news to me. That's point number one. Point number two is, what it comes down to is that Kevin Durant is trying to put me in some kind of jacket or whatever the case may be. Let me be very, very clear, my brother, it does not fit. You are in no position to question my credibility whatsoever. A matter of fact, one would argue, what position are you in to question the credibility of anybody in the media, particularly when the last time we really heard you say anything of significance? It was when you were addressing the media or undressing the media in February and telling them, could y'all put up this quote for America to see, please? Here it is right there. You guys really don't know bleep. To be honest, man, I'm only here talking to y'all because I have to. So I really don't care. Y'all not my friends. Y'all going to write what you want to write. You're going to say what you're going to love us one day and hate us the next. That's part of it. So I just had to learn how to deal with it. Come back to me, please. Kevin Durant said that in response to idiotic questions he felt the media was asking him about head coach Scott Brooks.
So you heard what he had to say. Now, here's what's interesting. I don't know if you guys saw notice the connection. Do you notice that in that soundbite, Kevin Durant was calling out Stephen A. Smith for the very same thing Jaylen Brown just had an issue with him? He was questioning his sources and his reporting. In that soundbite, Stephen A. Smith was reporting something that it pertained to some comments that were made from Kevin Durant's inner circle about him. Kevin Durant then said, I know all the people in my inner circle. This dude is lying. And then Stephen A. Smith said, if you're going to sit up here and question what I'm saying and question my reporting and my credentials, to use his word, then I'm gonna make you pay and I'm gonna make you regret it. The very thing Katie was complaining about then is the very thing that caused Jaylen Brown to basically call out Stephen A. Smith over the summer and say, name your sources. And it got so bad that Jaylen Brown requested a sit down with Stephen A. Smith, a face-to-face sit down, where he said, your sources are cowards. And Stephen A. Smith still refused to name his sources. Now, why do these players have an issue with reporters going out there and saying our sources said this, our sources said. The reason they have an issue is because you can then hide your opinion. You can guise your opinions behind sources. You can say that this guy is aloof. You can say that this guy is a team destroyer. You can say that this guy is selfish, and then say, I spoke to sources around the NBA and that's what they said. And what this part of journalism then asks of the reader or of the person being spoken about, it is asking you to trust them and trust my reporting. But these guys don't trust it. And I'm going to assume that even though Kevin Durant and Stephen A. Smith made peace years later after that audio, I'm going to assume that is the very thing that caused Kevin Durant to say Stephen A. Smith is a clown. I'm going to make that inference and say it must be related to that, because that was the very thing that caused the two of them to have that to have that rift. But in this case, he's talking about his leadership and all of that. And I think possibly something that can be going on here is that Stephen A. Smith may be viewed as someone that's double-faced. What do I mean by that? He will go on TV and say, oh, you're great, you're awesome, you're a great player, blah, 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 Hall of Famer. And then in the very next sentence, trash you. And then people are beginning to catch on to this and say, but wait a minute, this dude looks like he's two-faced here, because he will say all of these nice things about you and then totally destroy you. He almost uses it as a qualifier. And it seems that people are seeing through that and being like, nah, you're a clown, son. All that other stuff you're saying don't matter, because you do it with everybody. You're going to say this nice thing about that person, say that, and then trash them. And that seems to be a pattern here. But to me, it's quite surprising to see that this guy will go as far as threatening somebody that if you dare question my coverage and my credentials, I will ruin you. I will ruin you. And Stephen A. Smith did contribute to the whole theory, or rather not theory, but to this notion that Kevin Durant was the weakest star in NBA history for the move that he made. He also took a personal vendetta against another person he disagreed with, which was Kyrie Irving. Stephen A. Smith on multiple occasions in the past has said, it's never personal with me. It's never personal with me. And all those times it was criticizing Kyrie Irving, he always said, it's never personal with me. It's never personal with me. And then just a few months ago, he admitted it was personal between me and Kyrie Irving. These players see all of this. And it could be a combination of these things that's causing these guys to feel this way about Stephen A. Smith. But who am I? I'm just somebody looking at it from afar. So what I want to know from you guys, what do you think about today's show? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section. We catch you on the next show. Peace.